Hey guys, welcome back to the Second Time Lucky Mining channel. In today's video, we are going to talk about Helium. More specifically, my 4 months update mining Helium and then keeping some of the promises that I've made since my first video mining Helium. If you do like the content, please smash the like button and maybe consider subscribing to the channel. It will help me out a great deal. But enough of plugging my channel, let's jump into the video. Whoa, what a crazy week it's been in crypto. It started off with NiceHash releasing their 100% unlock on LHR cards and everybody jumping onto NiceHash, and then all of a sudden, shortly after that, NB Miner doing the same thing and everybody jumping on NB Miner, finding out that they've got all these stability issues, and then every single other miner reverse engineering that and releasing their 100% unlock as well. Followed by the market crashing, surprise, surprise. And then as the market crashed, all of these other cryptos being exposed, and I think that's where the Luna drama started around pegging, buying Bitcoin, selling it. It's just been a mess. Now, this is not what this video is about. This video is something a little bit more stable, but also has gone through a lot of changes, which is Helium. Now, talking of Helium, this video is about my 4 months mining Helium and keeping some of the promises that I've made in my first video mining Helium. So if you haven't watched that video, I'll leave a link in the video description and tag it at the top. But the short version is I bought a Bobcat 300 miner on the 8th of January. I had a look at the shipping times and it was like 20 weeks. I then managed to find in early January a Sensecap M1 miner from a scalper, which I then bought. And then I made the promise to say, okay, cool, I obviously don't like buying it from a scalper, but maybe in between the time that I've got this scalped Sensecap and between the Bobcat 300 miner, in the time window between those two, the money that I was scalped, hopefully I can mine Helium in between that is worth more than what that is. So that was sort of the challenge that I've made, and here we are. I've got my Bobcat miner finally. So it took about 5 months to get here, but now I actually have it, and this is now where I need to go and have a look. Was it worth buying the scalped Sensecap M1? Now, looking at the numbers, I bought the Bobcat 300 miner for $500 US, and it was about 37, or let's call it $40 worth of shipping. And then obviously I paid 1,000 Australian dollars for the Sensecap. In US dollars, that's about 700. So we're looking at $250 difference between the two. Now, looking at what I've mined, now that is the kicker here. What I've mined is 9 Helium in between that time. So I mine just a little bit below 2 Helium per month with my current Sensecap with the McGill 5.8 dBi antenna. So that's the other thing that I'll talk about a little bit later. So I've mined 9 Helium, and looking at the market crash, 9 Helium is about $9 or $9.20 worth at this specific point in time. So looking at that, I've mined $82 worth of Helium in between the time. So was it worth it? At this specific point in time, definitely not, right? So it's the $80 that I've mined is definitely below the $250 that I got scalped at, right? But, if you take it into consideration, if the price was more or less what it was at that time, and again, you shouldn't be doing that, but if it was, it actually would have been close. If I take, if Helium was to go to $27, which it was, that would be more or less the same amount. So, in the end, was it worth being scalped? Probably not. Could I have waited? Yes. But what do I do have now is I do have 9 Helium that I could use, and it could go up or it could go down. It probably might be going down more, but that's just how it is at the moment, right? So I don't know really what the price is going to do, but I do have 9 Helium now, and I've got now 2 miners. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do with this yet, but hopefully I can find a spot to set it up in. Now, what have I learned in the last 4 months? Probably the biggest thing is I still have lots to learn. And a lot of the things that I was doing in the first couple of months, I wouldn't say has been a waste of time, but some of the methodologies that I applied is probably flawed, knowing what I know now. Now, if you've watched some of my previous videos, what I did is I actually bought a couple of antennas, and all different ones. I think I bought about 5. I put it onto my Sensecap M1, ran it for the week, recorded my rewards, put the next antenna in, did the same thing, and tried to keep the variables as consistent as I could, so the miner all the time in the same spot, you know, those type of things. And then I sort of made a conclusion, oh, this antenna is the better one. But what I've now realized is there is so much variability that that methodology is ultimately flawed. Now, why do I say that? The variability is just massive. The Helium network slowness, not slowness, the amount of people joining from day to day, who is joining your little area, what the weather is doing, you know, within a week, comparing one to the other is definitely not a apples to apples comparison. And I don't think there is a apples to apples comparison that is possible, to be honest. You know, I think you probably need to look at what is the best antenna, more or less, that you can get, and then antennas differ, right? You can get good quality ones, bad quality ones, SNR ratios. There's a whole bunch of things that you can look at, and probably looking at some of the other guys' channels that knows these antennas a lot better than me. I would think someone like Network Bits or Gristle King. Those are some of the channels that I follow just to try and understand it a little bit more. But you know, so what do I do now, though, knowing what I know after the 4 months? You know, I just have the best antenna, so I sort of look at the antenna specifically that I think is the best based on the specifications of the antenna, and more or less which are the hotspots do I want to hit that's close to my area, and I just got that in. So I'm running currently the McGill antenna, which didn't get the best results, but having it in for more than a month now, I'm getting more rewards than what I did when I previously was testing it. So, you know, having it in for a longer period of time is actually working out a little bit better for me. Obviously, I still need to take it outside, so that's probably the biggest thing that I still need to do. And that's the other lesson, I guess, that I've learned is, well, I didn't learn, but I can definitely see it's the worth of it is you really need to put your antenna outside as soon as possible. Make sure there's no obstacles. So just take the best antenna that you can. Obviously not the highest dBi, so the dBi doesn't really matter that much. The dBi depends on the signal, but get the best possible you know, antenna that you can. Use the dBi depending on who do you want to hit, and then place it outside and just keep it on as long as possible. So that's probably the biggest lesson that I've learned. By the way, I've recently joined the Zzz Money Club, which is basically a Discord community started by your friend Andy and Colin, the Decade Investor. And in there, it's a bunch of people, like-minded individuals trying to achieve their goals. There's a heap of content, Helium just being one of them, around NFTs, nodes, mining, all those type of things. So if you're interested in joining the community, I'll leave a link in the video description. So what do I think of the future of Helium, and am I going to continue mining Helium? The answer to both of those questions is yes. Looking at it from a mining perspective, obviously dollar for dollar, my Helium hotspot is actually more profitable compared to the GPUs that I've got, and I really do love GPU mining. If you've watched some of my previous videos, they're hot, they can be loud, they can be problematic, they suck a lot of power. It's super fun, but you know, where it stands today from an ROI perspective, you know, I do make percentage wise at least more profit mining Helium at this specific point in time. Around Helium's future, I really do think they've got a bright future, and to be honest, I really like being in the cryptocurrencies that I can understand, for one, or at least partially understand. But the big thing for me is I like to see a use case, and that's what I really like about Helium. I really do think they have got a use case because they've got two elements. We've got IoT, and then the new thing is 5G, and both of those things, I do believe in 5G a little bit more than I do on IoT. And the reason for that is, you know, at some of my previous jobs, we've dealt with IoT before, and the barrier of entry and the cost associated to it, there hasn't been a massive adoption of IoT. But hopefully with Helium, this type of things are changing, and I do see it being used more and more day to day. So I'm starting to see people putting dog collars with IoT devices. I've seen some tools We've done some trials before on fridges and some other things that work. So it's becoming more and more adopted, and hopefully the adoption continues. And specifically now that there is a massive network, and that's really where you know, the barrier was. Previously you had to have all of these sensors to pick up the IoT devices, and if you go to an area where it's not, it's a bit of a problem. So hopefully the Helium network solves that problem, and that again I think will help the adoption. The other thing is 5G, and that is massive. You know, that is easy to understand. All of these telecoms operators, the cost for them to set up a 5G network is massive. They have to sign agreements, lease agreements. It's a lot of equipment. Having a roaming agreement on someone else maintaining the network, that would be ideal for them, and it also helps them you know, cover some of their dead spots. So I really do think there's a massive future on the 5G front. Now you know, for Helium, that is still very small or very new. I do think there's only 2 providers as far as I know. It's Freedom Fi, and then it's Bobcat. Actually, I think, what I can't remember now what they call it, but something Bobber. I think it's a Bobber 500 or something like that, which they do allow. But as far as I understand, it's only in the US. But if that goes to more countries and they manage to sign some roam agreements with some of the bigger telecom companies, it's just going to be massive. So I do think the future for Helium in that perspective is going to be good. You know, am I buying more Helium miners? Probably not, and the reason why I'm not buying more is it's actually difficult. Well, it's not difficult to set one up, but it's difficult to find multiple locations. So you sort of need to either own lots of different homes, and you can just do what you want there, or you sort of need to reach out to family and friends and place stuff there. And I really don't like that type of burden on family and friends. Family, yes, no problem. Friends, I don't want to lose friends. For me, just putting in some sort of crypto mining device, as soon as you say crypto to some of my friends, they frown a little bit on that. So I don't want to do that necessarily. So but yeah, so that's you know, the reason why I'm not massively expanding, making, you know, Helium this business of maintaining all of these hotspots. You know, I do believe in the project. I've got my miner up, probably gonna keep this and see if I can find a friend that's into crypto and you know, have some sort of agreement. But that's really what I'm gonna do. In the comment section, I'd love to hear what you guys are thinking of Helium. But that's it for this one, guys. If you've liked the video, please like the video and maybe consider subscribing to the channel. Otherwise, I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.